All right, chicken thighs. Who doesn't love a good chicken thigh recipe, right?
Definitely a crowd pleaser.
Well, today we're diving into a recipe that might seem basic at first glance, but trust me, the results are anything but.
Oh, I totally agree.
We're talking about perfectly baked chicken thighs, crispy skin, juicy meat, bursting with flavor.
The kind of dish you can confidently serve to anyone.
Absolutely. And the best part is you don't need any fancy ingredients or equipment. We're breaking down the science behind those simple techniques that make all the difference.
Exactly. Because when you understand the why behind the steps, it empowers you to adapt and experiment in the kitchen with confidence.
So true. I'll be honest, going through the research for this deep dive, even I was surprised by how many little details can really elevate this dish from basic to gourmet.
Right. It's those little things that often get overlooked, but they make a world of difference.
Absolutely. Like, for example, drying the chicken.
Yes, that's a great one. Seems so simple, right? But that one step can make or break your crispy skin.
I'll admit, I've definitely been guilty of skipping that step in the past, thinking, it's probably not a big deal, but clearly I was wrong. So, break it down for me. What's the science behind why dried chicken equals crispy chicken?
Well, it all comes down to what happens when heat meets moisture.
Okay, makes sense.
When you put that chicken in a hot oven and there's moisture on the surface, it creates steam.
Right.
And instead of that skin getting a chance to brown and crisp up, it ends up essentially steaming in the oven.
So it's like we're giving the chicken thighs a sauna session when what we really want is a nice tanning bed experience.
Exactly. You nailed it.
So we want that skin to be nice and dry before it hits the heat. Are there any other tips for maximizing crispiness?
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite tricks is actually salting the chicken the night before.
Really?
Yeah. It sounds a little strange, but trust me. Salting it in advance draws out excess moisture and gives the skin even more time to dry out properly.
Okay, that's a game changer. I'm definitely trying that next time. But drying the chicken is only part of the equation, right? What about flavor? We're not just aiming for dry chicken, we're going for flavor explosions.
You're spot on. We've got to build that flavor.
Right. So let's talk spices. What are we using here to make these chicken thighs irresistible?
Well, the beauty of this recipe is that it relies on pantry staples.
Yeah.
We're talking garlic powder,
Okay.
onion powder,
Yep. Got those.
a little smoked paprika,
Ooh, smoky. I like where this is going.
some dried thyme,
Classic.
and just a touch of dried rosemary. And the magic really happens when all these flavors meld together in the oven.
It's like a symphony of spices. Speaking of heat, this recipe doesn't shy away from cranking it up. 425 degrees. That's hotter than I usually go for chicken. What's the method behind that madness?
Well, there are a couple of reasons why we're going hot and fast here.
Yeah.
First off, remember we're aiming for that crispy skin, right? High heat helps render the fat from the skin quickly and evenly,
Right, that makes sense.
so you get that beautiful golden brown crispy exterior.
Okay. But doesn't cooking it at such a high temperature dry the meat out?
That's a great question. It's all about timing. That high heat allows the chicken to cook through much faster, which actually helps lock in the moisture.
Interesting.
So you get that perfectly cooked, juicy meat. And of course, we can't forget about the Maillard reaction.
Now, there's a good cooking term. I hear it all the time. But to be honest, I'm not always sure I fully understand it. What exactly is the Maillard reaction, and why should we care about it when it comes to our chicken thighs?
So the Maillard reaction is basically a chemical reaction that happens when sugars and amino acids in food are exposed to high heat. It creates all those complex flavors and aromas we associate with browning.
So that's what gives the chicken that delicious roasted flavor.
Precisely. And it happens much faster at higher temperatures. So by cooking our chicken thighs at 425, we're encouraging that Maillard reaction to work its magic, creating those incredible depths of flavor.
Got it. High heat equals flavor and crispy skin. I'm on board. Now, what happens once we take these perfectly browned, juicy chicken thighs out of the oven?
Now we come to the step that many people rush or even skip altogether. But it's crucial for ultimate juiciness.
Right.
Resting.
Resting. But I'm hungry. I know that's what I always think when I see rest in a recipe, but I also know that you should never skip a resting period. What exactly is happening inside that chicken as it rests?
Okay, so picture this.
Okay.
When you're cooking meat, those muscle fibers, they tense up.
Okay.
It's kind of like, imagine squeezing a sponge.
Right.
All the liquid gets pushed out, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening to the juices in your chicken when it's cooking.
Okay.
Now, when you let the meat rest,
Yeah.
those fibers, they relax.
Okay.
And that allows those juices to get reabsorbed back into the meat.
Oh, so that's the key to that, like
That's your juiciness right there.
juicy bite instead of a dry bite.
Exactly.
It's funny how such a seemingly passive step can make such a huge difference in the final dish.
It's true, though. Resting your meat, it's not just some fancy chef thing.
Right. It's science.
It's science. It'll change your life.
I believe it.
And it's not just chicken either. Steaks, roasts, even fish.
It's true. I remember the first time I made a roast for like a holiday dinner, and my mom was like, don't you dare cut into that roast right away. Let it rest. And I was like, but it's ready. I want to eat it.
We've all been there.
But I'm so glad I listened to her because that roast, oh my goodness.
Worth the wait.
It was so juicy. All right, so we've covered all the crucial steps for perfect baked chicken thighs, from that initial pat down to the all-important resting period.
We've covered all our bases.
Now, I want you to paint a picture for me, for our listeners. We pull that baking dish out of the oven. What do we see? What do we smell? What's making our mouths water?
Oh, it's like a sensory symphony?
Yeah.
First, that aroma hits you.
Oh, yeah.
This incredible blend of herbs and spices with a hint of that savory roasted chicken goodness.
Yes.
And then you see it, this beautiful golden brown, glistening skin.
Yes.
Maybe even a little bit of that crackling sound as the skin cools down.
Oh, the crackle. The best part.
And when you slice into it,
Ooh, yeah. Tell me about it.
that perfect balance of crispy skin and tender, juicy meat infused with all those amazing flavors.
Okay, now I'm officially hungry.
You and me both.
But you know what I love most about this recipe? It's that it's really just a starting point, you know?
A blank canvas.
Exactly. Once you understand the techniques, you can let your creativity run wild.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're talking endless possibilities here. Roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes, a fresh salad, all those classic pairings. But then you could also get adventurous with sauces.
Oh, yeah. Sauces are a game changer.
Right. You could try different spice combinations, maybe a little citrus zest for some brightness.
Oh, love that.
The point is, this recipe is like a launch pad for flavor exploration.
I couldn't agree more.
So for our listeners out there who are ready to take their chicken thigh game to the next level, here's something to think about. If you could add one spice to this already amazing recipe, what would it be? What's your signature twist?
Ooh, that's a good one.
What would you add?
That's got me thinking now. I'm going to have to get back to you on that.
Right. So many delicious possibilities. All right, everyone. That's it for today's deep dive into the art of perfectly baked chicken thighs.
Until next time.
We hope you learned a thing or two, and more importantly, that you're feeling inspired to get in the kitchen and create something delicious.